Hello everyone, before we dive into tonight's unbelievable HOA confrontation, take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because stories like this prove just how fast peace can turn into pressure when power is abused. Welcome back to Neighborhood Authority Tales, where quiet streets hide loud conflicts and simple celebrations turn into unexpected showdowns. Tonight's story is one of those moments where the HOA believed rules would control everything and learned the hard way that people don't always bend the way paperwork expects them to. As the final evening of the year settled over Maplewood Crescent, the neighborhood looked like something pulled straight from a holiday postcard. Porch lights glowed softly, rooftops twinkled with festive decorations, and inflatable snowmen swayed gently in the cold breeze. Families wrapped up dinners, kids pressed faces against windows watching the lights outside, and most residents felt that familiar mix of relief and excitement that comes with New Year's Eve. It was supposed to be a calm transition into a fresh start. At one modest house near the center of the street, anticipation buzzed quietly but steadily. The homeowner, someone neighbors respected for being thoughtful, composed, and quietly confident, had planned a small New Year's gathering. Nothing extravagant, no loud music shaking windows, no overflowing street parking, just close friends, shared food, drinks, and a countdown watched together. It was the kind of evening that normally passed without notice. But in HOA territory, normal doesn't always matter. Earlier that week, residents received an unusually stern message from the Homeowners Association. It wasn't phrased as a reminder or suggestion. It was a warning. No guests allowed after 10 p.m. Any violations could result in fines, formal notices, or further enforcement. The message spoke of maintaining order, protecting peace, and preserving property values, but its tone felt cold and absolute. To many, it sounded less like guidance and more like a flex of authority. Some homeowners muttered under their breath. Others ignored it completely, used to the HOA's heavy hand. A few felt nervous, already imagining fines appearing in their inbox. But the homeowner at the center of tonight's story reacted differently. They didn't panic. They didn't argue online. They didn't cancel plans. Instead, they reviewed the rules, confirmed there was no clear violation, and continued preparing calmly. As the sun dipped below the houses, painting the street in shades of gold and deep blue, the first guests arrived. Cars pulled in quietly. Laughter drifted softly from the driveway. Bags of snacks and drinks passed through the front door. Everything remained controlled, respectful, intentional. The homeowner greeted everyone warmly, aware that eyes might be watching, but refusing to let fear dictate the night. And eyes were watching. Just a short distance away, members of the HOA were already alert. One board member in particular had built a reputation over the years. Marilyn, known throughout the neighborhood for her obsession with rules and documentation, had a habit of monitoring activity like a hawk. She counted cars. She noted arrival times. She interpreted guidelines as strictly as possible. To her, enforcement wasn't a duty. It was an identity. By 10:05 p.m., conversation filled the backyard. String lights cast a warm glow over smiling faces. Glasses clinked. The mood was relaxed, human, joyful. Nothing about the scene suggested disorder. And yet, moments later, a sharp knock cut through the atmosphere. The homeowner opened the door to find the HOA president standing stiffly, clipboard in hand, posture rehearsed. The message was delivered calmly but firmly. Guests were not permitted. After 10 p.m., the implication was clear. This needed to stop. Inside, the chatter faded. Guests exchanged glances, expecting tension, raised voices, maybe even threats. Instead, the homeowner smiled. They thanked the president for stopping by and offered them a drink. The offer caught the board member off guard. Stepping inside, the president was met not with defiance, but hospitality. Friendly faces, casual greetings, a room filled with laughter and warmth. The rigid authority they had carried to the door suddenly felt awkward, even unnecessary. Conversations resumed. Someone cracked a joke. The moment shifted. Outside, more guests arrived. Cars parked neatly. No rules were broken. Neighbors peeked through windows, curious rather than annoyed. Marilyn circled the area, noting details, clearly frustrated that nothing obvious justified enforcement. Attempts to regain control came quietly, polite reminders, notes scribbled, observations made. Each effort was met with calm responses, respectful explanations, and a confidence that didn't escalate into confrontation. The HOA's authority, once intimidating, began to feel oddly fragile. As the clock moved closer to 11 p.m., the gathering grew naturally, plates filled with food. Stories from the past year were shared. Laughter bounced off the walls. HOA members hovered nearby, unsure whether to intervene or retreat. Their presence no longer commanded attention. It felt performative. Then came the moment that changed everything. A small speaker was placed near the front lawn. Music flowed gently into the street, not loud, not disruptive, just enough to carry energy. Curtains shifted, doors opened, neighbors stepped outside, someone waved. Another neighbor wandered over with snacks. What started as a private gathering began to feel communal. At 11:50 p.m., the HOA made one final attempt. Board members approached with formal expressions and prepared warnings. They were met not with resistance, but warmth. Drinks were offered. Children handed out confetti poppers. Smiles replaced tension. Midnight arrived. Cheers erupted. Confetti flew. Glasses raised. The new year began not with chaos, but unity. On the edges, HOA representatives stood silently, watching control dissolve without a single rule clearly broken. When the night finally quieted, something permanent remained. The next morning was eerily calm. No violation notices, no fines, no emails, just silence. Inside the HOA office, however, urgency took hold. Meetings were called, emails drafted and deleted. The board struggled to respond without drawing attention to their failure. Photos from the night circulated, group chats buzzed, neighbors compared stories, similar warnings, similar intimidation, patterns emerged. What had once felt isolated now looked systemic. When the HOA finally sent a vague community-wide reminder, it backfired. Residents analyzed the bylaws, highlighted inconsistencies, asked questions publicly. Authority weakened under scrutiny. The next HOA meeting saw record attendance. Calm voices replaced fear, accountability replaced assumption, enforcement softened, language changed. One board member quietly stepped away. And every new year after that, Maplewood Crescent celebrated with confidence. Not rebellion, not chaos, confidence. Because that night proved something no HOA rule ever could. Authority depends on fear. Community depends on trust. And once trust awakens, control loses its grip.